We now invite you to join us for part 7 of this enlightening lecture titled, Discover Real Meditation Through Transmission by a Real Master, Questions and Answers, given by Supreme Master Ching Hai, Vegan, in San Francisco, California, USA, on May 25, 1989.
Peace for Ukraine or Ukraine now. Russia, just go home.
Yeah, question?
What are the different inner sounds?
What are these sounds?
What are the different inner sounds?
Yeah, this I will tell you at the time of initiation. Okay?
After one has experienced nirvana and or enlightenment, is it difficult to attain mastery over one's energy body?
Master what?
Mastery, M-A-S-T-R-Y, mastery. Okay. Is it difficult?
That's why yesterday I wanted to read because to attain mastery. Is it difficult to attain mastery over one's energy body? No. Why? God bless you. Thank you. Yeah, I thank you too. God bless you. No, it isn't.
Okay.
It is easy to gain control over one's energy body because one has attained enlightenment. That's the purpose of it. If we couldn't control our psychic or energy or light body, then what's the use of enlightenment? That we are out of control, we're even worse off than before. So maybe this may happen if you have incompetent masters, or if you practice it yourselves from bookshelf, from bookshelf self-realization, authors, and things like that. It is a little bit dangerous, yes, sure. Therefore, some people who practice themselves or have incompetent masters, they became mentally deranged. Yeah, is this true? Yeah, I understand now. Yeah, possessed, yes. Sometimes, yes, sometimes possessed by the demons, sometimes by self-disturbance. Because they couldn't handle so much released psychic energies or a higher order of power. And they're unused to it. They're so amateur, so childish, they cannot know what to do with it. Therefore, they become out of order. Yeah. So it is better to practice with a competent master. That's the reason why we should have a master. Otherwise, there's no need. If the master doesn't need to transmit it personally, then he could even write books and sell them, become famous, #1 bestseller by Times or New York Times or whatever that is. Yeah, it's even more comfortable. Yeah, you sit at home and you write books and become bestsellers, and every time get income.
Does the dog have Buddha nature? Dog.
Oh, how boring now. It is like this. In the Chan, so-called Zen or Chan world, people invented so many so-called methods. After the Buddha's Nirvana, everybody became masters overnight. So, and then lacking real power, they just invented any kind of dog's nature. Like, does the dog person have nature? And then it became like a koan. You know that? Koan means a question you have to ask yourself and ask until your head broken or whatever, your brain explodes. And if you haven't found it, then you must die with shame. Before, there were even worse circumstances. In Japan, if a person doesn't know what moo is, then when the master asked and he couldn't answer it, then he has to commit suicide. And at that moment, he might get enlightened, so-called. But most of the time not. And so people die with grief and shame. Don't know where he has gone to. We can check though, but it's not very high. Committing suicide for a person is no good. Go into very dark region. Doesn't matter for what purpose. For a heroic act or whatever, because life is given by God. It's not for us to take away. It's for Him to decide when we live and how. So the person who commits suicide is in a very, very bad realm of his own dark thinking. Understand? He closes himself up in his own prison of dark thinking. Very dangerous. Until this power wear out, billions of years later, he can get liberated. But not a very normal liberation. It means he is liberated from that dark region only. But he may incarnate as other beings, maybe lower than human existence. God knows. Now, the question of does the dark person have Buddha nature arose in China after many thousands of years after the Buddha's nirvana. Now people lacking the transmitting of the light, lacking the inner, lineage, what you call 法脉, the lineage of power. Then they just invent anything. So people came to ask them how to practice. And then they would cite any of the ancient masters' talk and tell them to investigate it, to ask themselves. And of course, when you concentrate on one idea or another, it may give rise to some power. You understand? The power of concentration is not to be underrated. But I already told in my book, it doesn't matter how big an intellect. He is still only an intellectual giant, and not a self-liberated, and not a wisdom saint. Intellect belongs to the realm of mind and matter, not soul and God. Because intellect is thinking. And thinking arises from what? From data, from learning, from other people's thinking and brainwashing ideas. Soul and God are natural, spontaneous, self-born, self-existing, self-supporting, self-pure. So anything that is influenced or can be influenced by society, by thinking, by philosophy, by language of any kind is intellect and intelligence, not wisdom. Therefore, if we use language to ask ourselves or to be enlightened somehow, it is still in the intellectual realm and wrestling, some mind wrestling, and it's very tiring. So I do not teach this kind of mind wrestling method because I think we are tired enough of work every day and wrestling with our problems. And no need to go home and sit there cross-legged and rest again. The Buddha, however, never taught this method. I may remind you of this. The Buddha never sat there and asked himself, who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I? Does the dog person have Buddha nature? Does the dog person have the Buddha nature? Does he really have the Buddha nature? Does he really? He would not do this kind of thing. How did the Buddha become enlightened? Do you know? He has seen the inner realm. He has subdued the inner demons. It means when he saw the inside demons, he subdued them. And when he saw the inside stars, it is recorded that the Buddha, seeing the stars, became enlightened. Now we think we see the stars every day. How come we're not enlightened? That is because he saw the inner stars, not the outer stars. So many of our disciples see the stars, so they also can be called enlightened. Now you may wonder yourself, okay, if you see the inner stars, so what's the big deal about that? It's a big deal. Because it's not seeing the stars that counts. It's what it makes you become, what it makes you feel. The feeling, the wisdom, the way of life all changed after seeing the inner stars. Or after seeing the inner worlds, or the inner realms, or the inner light, or after hearing the inner sounds. It's not because we like to see the inner stars or hear the inner sounds, but because hearing them, seeing them, make us great, make us wise and saintly, and we become Buddha, become Christ. Therefore, we have to see them. Just like we eat bread and potatoes, and they, in turn, become blood and become our thinking, become our, I'll say, muscle power. Understand that? Yes, that's it. The inner stars and the sounds are our inner bread, the bread and water of life. So Jesus said, man doesn't live from bread alone. This is what he meant. Because the bread and water of life are inside of us.
Why is there so much pain in this world?
Pain.
Suffering.
Because we have no support. We have no enduring power behind us. This power we neglect. We only use our mind, our brain. We don't use God's limitless supply. Therefore, we cannot endure the pressure and the pain in this world, and we feel pain and suffering. If we have that great treasure, great support, this strength, we don't feel that much pain. The pain still exists, it's just that we can bear it. Just like when we were young, when we were a child, if we lifted about 5 pounds sack of rice, we feel it's very heavy, no? We couldn't even walk. But when we grow up, 20 years later, even 50 pounds means nothing. That's the meaning of God power. That's why we have to practice. That's why we have to practice the Guanyin method to get in touch with this inner limitless supply. Then we don't feel so much pain, so much pressure, and we feel joy ever after. The pain still exists, mind you. I don't mean the pain disappears. But you can bear it. You feel nothing much of importance, that's all.
How do you deal with the fear of letting go of self? Become a selfless egoist.
Oh, I don't remember how I dealt with it. It just naturally goes. By getting in touch with God and merging yourself with God, you just naturally have no more self. Slowly, slowly, the self will go out. And that's it. I don't deal with it. To have to deal with it is a problematic thing because the self is very big. Therefore, you let God deal with it. After practicing this method, you become less and less self, and then you become greater and greater. The less you become, the greater you are. And this is the paradox of God, because it's not for us to understand.
How do you get rid of bad thinking?
Yeah, it's difficult. Also have to use this power, this inborn power. Have to practice this Guanyin method. Then you naturally become pure. It isn't for us to struggle anymore. Every day we use the light, we use the sound to purify us, to bath us. But also there is a kind of inspection, a spiritual diary. Every day you may check yourself to see how cleaner you become each day in speech, body and mind, to see how you progress.